So basically my background, just like anybody else's background in crypto, has got nothing to do with crypto. It's only really in the last couple of years it started to get some mainstream attention.
Cryptocurrencies took a massive tumble.
Cryptocurrency.
Cryptocurrency.
What is cryptocurrency?
Cryptocurrency is essentially a digital asset built on top of something called a blockchain. And the blockchain is what's important. It's possibly sort of as important as somebody inventing the internet again. It's a massive technology revolution. Increasingly, everything's getting hacked. All your information's on the internet. You know, your shopping information, your browsing information, medical insurance, and it can be tampered with because it's in a centralized system.
So we've been brought up to think you put your money in a bank and you trust it. I've never even questioned, do I trust my bank? What are NFTs?
Okay, well, they stand for non-fungible tokens. Fungible things are things that are interchangeable. If I was to give you my house and you were to give me your house, there's been a material difference in where we live, okay?
Yes.
They're not the same.
No.
NFTs are just unique things.
It's difficult for people to wrap their heads around this sudden change.
It is, but there's a lot more reasons for it as well.
William, welcome to Millennial Mind.
Really good to be here.
Really happy to have you here. I mean, just to give context to everyone, I met you at an event. I saw you speak around NFTs, crypto, the blockchain, and I just thought, wow, you speak so well. I have to have you on my podcast. So
That's really kind.
So it's really nice to have you here. And it's really a topic I've wanted to speak about for a really long time. And I think one that people are lacking clarity on. So before we start, I really want to just have a little bit of introduction for people who don't know you. You know, what's your background? How did you get into crypto?
Okay, so basically my background, just like anybody else's background in crypto, has got nothing to do with crypto.
Yeah.
It's a super new industry. It's like 13 years old. The Bitcoin was invented. And it's only really in the last couple of years it started to get some mainstream attention. So I worked for years and years in the gold mining industry. I actually ran and owned gold mines in Central Asia. And then I came back to the UK about 7 years ago, worked in nanotech. And in education, built a school in India, which we still run.
Wow.
And at the beginning of lockdown, I was given the opportunity, managed to free up some time and get into the blockchain space, which is something I'd been wanting to do for ages. I invested in it first in 2017, right at the top of the market. And then when it crashed and took a bath with everybody else. So I had a baptism of fire. And then, here we are today.
I just thought, like, what's happening to me right now? I bought
I bought
it at its highest point, and I was adamant it was going to go off in the new year, and it just absolutely crashed. So,
yeah, well, that's the thing is when it's going up, everybody wants to buy. Like right now, it's crashed.
Nobody wants to buy it.
No one wants to buy. But this is when you should be. I'm not saying everybody go and buy it, but I'm saying you should be thinking about buying.
No, everybody go and buy it right now.
Yeah, go
Don't
buy
make
it.
the same mistake we made. So I want to start off with just a really simple question of what is cryptocurrency?
Okay, well, I think probably the thing is just to think about like what it's not.
Right.
You know, if you read in the news, like mainstream media, all you really see about cryptocurrency is the Bitcoin price went up, the Bitcoin price went down. If you've heard of Ethereum, the price went up, the price went down. That's all the media really covers is the price. And if you invest in it, of course, that's incredibly interesting to know whether the price went up or down. But what's really cryptocurrency is it's essentially a digital asset built on top of something called a blockchain.
Right.
Okay. And the blockchain is what's important. Okay. Blockchain technology, I'm going to sort of go out on a limb slightly, but I'm going to say it's possibly sort of as important as somebody inventing the internet again. It's a massive technology revolution.
And what is the blockchain? Tell me about this technology and why it is so revolutionary.
Okay, well, this is normally the hard bit to get your head around.
Listen up, everyone.
Okay, so I asked the same question after I'd lost money in crypto. While I owned it the first time, I didn't bother to ask. I wasn't really interested. And when I first went to ask somebody who was more intelligent than me, they said, oh, it's a permissionless, trustless, decentralized ledger, which gave me that look on my face like you've got right now. Like, what the hell are you talking about? What is this thing?
Yes.
And it actually took me ages after asking people and getting the same answer to actually go out and learn about it myself and get some idea of what this thing is, this decentralized ledger, and why is it useful for people. And what is decentralization? Okay, so once I'd worked it out, and once I decided to enter into the crypto space, specifically on the education side of the crypto space, because that's what I already have an education business. I had to start thinking of analogies to help explain what these things are.
Right.
So if you're ready to do it, I can
Let's go for it.
take you through an analogy.
Let's go.
You ready?
Is this the chess analogy?
Yeah.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready to hear it again. I think the first time my mouth was just open, like, wow.
Okay, go for it. Okay, so you can play chess?
Yes.
Good. All right, that's a good start. Okay, all right. So,
Not very well.
yeah,
Let's
well,
just
it's
add.
a bit like me. But in this story, I'm going to be better than you.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so what I want to tackle first is the concept of decentralization and why that's important, and also a very basic thing, what a ledger is. Okay, because that was one of my descriptive words. Okay, so imagine one evening you and I we play a game of chess. Okay, and we play for money. We play for 100 quid. Okay, and while we're playing this game of chess, every single thing that we do, we write down in a book in the middle of the table.
Right.
So have you seen The Queen's Gambit?
No.
Okay, well, there's a very popular TV show. Most of your audience will have seen it.
Okay.
So when they play chess and that, they write down all the moves in a
Right.
book.
Okay.
Okay, so that will, for everybody, that will give them a little connection there.
Okay.
Okay, now that book in the middle of the table, we're going to call the ledger. Okay, because I've mentioned that blockchain is a ledger.
Correct.
All a ledger is what accountants use to record transactions. Okay,
Right.
so this notebook where we write down all the moves, all the bets, everything, that's our ledger. Okay, and we play this game. And unfortunately for you, fortunately for me, I beat you. Okay, I take £100 off you. Okay, and that's the end of the game. The book goes in the bookshelf, and we go to bed. Okay, now lying in bed that night, you're tossing and turning in bed, and you're thinking, God, somehow Will is a real cheat. Somehow he's managed to take that £100 off me, and I think I deserve it back. Okay? Now, at this point, if you truly believe in this, okay, you've got two choices. Okay? If you want to overturn the result. The next morning at breakfast, or we meet for breakfast or whatever, we gather around the breakfast table.
Yeah.
Making assumptions.
I remember we did that last time. Just sweep past that comment.
No, okay. So the next morning we meet for breakfast, and you say, "Well, I'm not happy with the result. Okay, I want to take out the ledger out of the book cupboard, and I want to replay the game, and we're going to play it move by move. We're just going to use it as our instruction booklet."
Right.
And I think I'll overturn the result. So that's option number one, and maybe I did cheat, and maybe you will overturn the result. However, lying in bed, you come up with an even better idea. It's a much more effective idea, okay? You can sneak downstairs, you can find the book, you can take it out of the book cupboard, you can rub out what's written in there, you can
Right.
rewrite it,
Correct.
okay? Basically saying that you won,
Right.
okay? And then you can challenge me the next morning.
Got
and
it.
hey presto,
I win.
you've committed fraud, you've cheated me, but you have got the £100
Right.
back, okay?
It's worth it.
It's definitely worth it. Yeah. Okay. So what I've just described there is an analogy for a centralized system. Okay, which is the opposite of a decentralized system. Okay, and our whole world works on centralized systems pretty much in terms of the internet. This is what I mean. It works on centralized system. I mean your data is stored in big pools where it can be tampered with. So a couple of years ago, I think 1.5 billion people's records were stolen off Facebook because there was one big
Right.
pool of information, like a centralized place where it could all be taken from. Or actually, a friend of mine yesterday, their Barclays Bank, their bank account was hacked. You know, and they got a message in the middle of the night saying they have a £500,000 overdraft, and they're not allowed that. Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just horrendous. Now, that means either somebody, I'm not saying inside Barclays, but possibly there could be a rogue agent.
Yeah.
You know, fictional story. But, or there could be a hacker on the outside, but somebody's messed. There's essentially one record of information and someone has messed with it, just like you messed with the ledger to get your £100 back. Okay. And so the internet works on these systems, and increasingly everything's getting hacked and all your information's on the internet. You know, your shopping information, your browsing information, your medical insurance, NHS, everything, okay, is online, and it can be either tampered with because it's in a centralized system, okay? So that's a centralized system. Right, we're going to go back to our analogy now, okay? Now, you are very upset about losing this £100, okay? So you challenge me to another game, okay? But this time, You don't want any funny business. You want there to be some witnesses, okay, to watch the game. So we rent out a little stadium and we invite 1,000 people to come and watch us play.
Right.
Okay. Happens to be 1,000 bookkeepers. Not a thrilling audience, but anyway, nonetheless, a very accurate audience, we can say. And they all turn up with their books.
Right.
Okay. And we play again, this time for £100. And instead of us recording it, every time we make a move, every time we make a bet, everything that goes on, these witnesses, which are watching us like hawks, maybe we've even got a big screen showing what we're doing, they're recording everything we do.
Right.
Okay? And I beat you again. Very sorry. Okay? Right. Now, the next night you're lying in bed and you're even angrier this time. You feel you've been double cheated.
Right.
Okay? Now, lying in bed, you've still got the same two options that you had the first time. They just become a little bit more complicated. Okay? You can invite me back to the stadium the next morning, invite back all the bookkeepers, all 1,000 of them, and we can collect all 1,000 books that they've written in, and we can replay the game, assuming we've got a lot of time on our hands, 1,000 times.
Okay.
And if you can get 501, i.e. more than 50% of those books to go in your favor, saying that you actually won, then you can overturn the result.
Right.
But I would say the chance of 501 witnesses writing down a different account to 499 witnesses is unlikely.
Yeah.
Okay? And if it was 1 million witnesses, I would go as far to say that it's impossible.
Right.
Okay? So unfortunately, sorry, you can't overturn the result that way. The second option you've got is the old-fashioned fraud option, but you've got to find out where all these bookkeepers live.
Right.
In their, where they're carrying out their thrilling lives. Okay. And you got to get the mafia, and you got to get some cat burglars, and you got to find them, break into their homes, change all the books. It's impossible.
It's impossible. Yeah.
Okay. So what we've actually created by having lots and lots of records of the same thing is we've created a moment in history, my moment of victory, that you unfortunately can't overturn.
Okay.
Okay. And that is a decentralized system. Okay. Now you'd say, okay, well, what's the point in that? What's the point in this decentralized thing? This thing where you can create a moment in truth. Well, imagine if the records of your bank account was decentralized. Okay. And there were 1,000 records of it.
Right.
Okay. That means that my friend yesterday, who had their bank account hacked and ended up with a big overdraft, okay, that they didn't know anything about, that would be impossible.
Why?
Because if that record of what was in his bank account was stored in 1,000 different places, that means the hacker would have to hack 501 different computers. And if those computers were in every country in the world, and you didn't know what country, you didn't even know where they were or who they were, they're essentially anonymous. As a hacker, where are you going to start? Yeah, you might get 1 computers, you might get 5 of them. But where are you going to start? So you can't hack it, okay, if it's properly decentralized. So that's when people talk about Bitcoin, blockchain, how secure it is, that it can't be hacked. The reason that the Bitcoin blockchain can't be hacked is because it's a ledger of information, i.e. it's a record of who's got how much Bitcoin, okay? So if the Bitcoin ledger says that I've got 1 Bitcoin, that information is recorded literally in 1 million different places.
And is it actually 1 million?
I think there's up to I think there's about 1 million different computers, but then lots of them are grouped together in banks and computers.
And who manages those computers? I'm just thinking about people who are listening and watching this. Look, if I go to my bank, I know all my money is in one place, okay?
Yeah.
And there's one record of it, like you say.
Yeah.
Let's say I have £1 million. I've won the lottery. Got a podcast sponsorship.
Happy days.
Manifesting for 5 years. So I have £1 million in my bank. Now I have £1 million worth of Bitcoin. Yeah. Where are all these records, and where do I find them?
The records are everywhere.
Okay.
It's totally transparent system. So what you pay for all this security that you get, i.e. having it recorded everywhere, you pay for this in privacy, i.e. the blockchain is totally transparent. If I say to you, can you send me a Bitcoin, and I give you my address, like my bank account number, but essentially my Bitcoin wallet address, and you send it to me, you can, that's fine, and you can send it to me, I can receive it, but you can also see how much Bitcoin I have in my wallet. It's like if you gave someone your bank account number, they could see inside your bank account. And not only could they see how much you have, they can see every transaction that you've ever done. So when people say, oh, crypto is great for money laundering, I just say, well, I think possibly like the most transparent system in the world is probably not your ideal place to go for money laundering. Wow. There's a lot of misconceptions about it. And it is totally transparent. And although I'm saying it to you, I'm saying it to the audience, you'll say, be like, yeah, okay, well, I kind of get that. But what I've found is when we run our crypto boot camps, we actually get people to use the blockchain to actually transact with each other inside the classroom, and then they see how transparent it is. It's literally 100% transparent.
But if you're then only using Bitcoin as your main form of currency, I don't want people to know exactly where I'm spending my money or who I'm sending it to.
Well, then don't use it.
It's quite invasive though, right?
It's very invasive, yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, so we've talked around the blockchain, we've talked around crypto a little bit, but why do we need cryptocurrency? Why can't we just stick with the money that we already have, the money that's regulated, the money that's governed by the government? Why are we now moving into this foreign concept of money we can't actually see?
Okay, so we've covered, let's say, the blockchain, which is a decentralized way of recording stuff. The other two words that I used were trustless and permissionless. Okay,
Right.
so these are two reasons to use it. Okay, we've already said, okay, it's secure.
Yes.
It can't get Bitcoin blockchain has never been hacked. Okay,
Right.
if I give you the CV of the Bitcoin blockchain, it's done 1 billion transactions. It's operated for 12 years. It's never had a shutdown. Nobody's in charge of it, and it's never ever made a mistake. In terms of payments, its system, now it's slow and it's expensive to use and all that stuff, but in terms of like accuracy, it's perfect. Okay.
You say nobody's in charge of it. That's hard to grasp, if that makes sense, because everyone's in charge of something.
Nobody's in charge of Bitcoin.
How does it run?
It runs by having computers all around the world who witness the transactions. In return for doing this work, essentially buying the computers, keeping a record of the history of the blockchain, they get paid for doing this. But they get paid from the blockchain itself. So literally nobody's in charge. It's unstoppable. There's nobody. If you wanted to sue Bitcoin or the team of Bitcoin, there is nobody to sue. And the person who invented it is anonymous anyway. So,
Well, this feels a bit scary. I feel like I'm in one of those mask movies where I don't know what's going on. Okay, sorry. Carry on back to the question.
okay. So why would you want these things? Well, let's just look at some of the things. So trustless and permissionless. Okay. I don't need anybody. I don't need permission from anybody to send you a Bitcoin. Okay. So if we go back to the stadium, imagine we're in the stadium, we played our game, we've got all our witnesses. Okay. Imagine rather than them just being the witnesses for our chess game, they're also the witnesses for our Bitcoin transactions. They represent the computers all around the world. Okay. So whatever they write down is the truth. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I stand up in my chair and I go, right, I'm going to cheer you up. I'm going to send you a Bitcoin. I'm going to send you 1 Bitcoin. All I have to do is I have to just tell everybody in the audience that's what I'm going to do. And they write down, okay, 1 Bitcoin has left William's wallet and it's arrived in your wallet. Okay. Then it becomes fact. Okay. Even if 10 seconds later I say, oh, sorry, actually that's too much. I want to do half a Bitcoin. It's too late. It's already been written down. Okay. So it's a time-stamped moment in history. Okay. If I want that half a Bitcoin back, you have to give it back. Because the record already says it's yours. Okay, so if you think about sending a bank transfer, if I, on the other hand, I say I don't want to send you Bitcoin, I want to send you $100, and your bank account's in America and my bank account's in the UK, let's say. Okay, I've got to have my bank account, so I need to trust my bank to look after my money. You need to trust your bank to receive the money. I need to instruct my bank, and then they're going to ask me a whole lot of questions, and then it's going to take 3 days, and they're going to charge me 20 quid, and it's going to be all kinds of difficulty and all kinds of problems.
Okay.
And if they choose not to do it, they say, well, sorry, but she's a bit dodgy. You can't send it to her. Yeah? Then it's not going to happen. Or maybe you're a bit dodgy. Maybe you're buying something you shouldn't be buying with that money. There's all kinds of things. And it's becoming increasingly oppressive. With the banking. It's a nightmare. If you try to open a bank account for a limited company, I mean, nowadays it's just like complete nightmare. Yeah.
I tried to transfer some money out of my account to Bitcoin and they blocked my account.
There we go.
And I was like, the price is low. Why aren't you taking my money out?
Yeah.
And they were like, sorry. And actually, we can't send you a PIN online. We have to post it to you. And I was like, is this a joke? So I want to take my money out and I have to wait 3 working days for the letter to come. Then I have to set this whole thing up again. So I definitely understand that.
So that would never happen.
Oppressive. But I think it's difficult for people to wrap their heads around this sudden change.
It is, but there's a lot more reasons for it as well. So that's just one. You don't need anybody's permission, and you don't need to trust a third party to do it. Essentially, you're the bank, you're in charge. If it's yours, you own it. Okay?
Right.
If you put your money in the bank, it's not actually yours. If the bank, for some reason, say they can't give it to you.
Wow,
You're
and
done.
I think so
Yeah?
many of us don't put that. So many of us don't make that assumption.
No.
Because we've been brought up to think you put your money in a bank and you trust it. I've never even questioned, do I trust my bank?
Yeah.
I've never had that question in my head.
But,
do I?
in 2008, we were very, very close to the banks not being able to give. And
Yes.
places like Iceland, which is a very advanced first world country, people lost all their money. The banks just took their money away, said, sorry, it's gone. Okay?
Wow.
With Bitcoin, that can't happen. Because if you hold it, I don't mean if you hold it on an exchange. If you hold it in your wallet, it's yours. So that's one reason. Now, you're saying why other currencies? I wouldn't think of Bitcoin as a currency like pounds or dollars or something like that. Okay, it's not going to replace pounds or dollars. What it is, it's a digital asset. Okay, it's like gold. Okay, so some people buy gold to store their wealth. Yeah, we're all reading about inflation at the moment. 10% inflation. You put £100 in the bank, and it's worth basically 90 quid's worth of buying power by the end of the year. Okay, and inflation is out of control. Okay, and why is inflation out of control? Well, there's several reasons, but one of the main reasons is because the supply of money is out of control. I.e., the government prints money like crazy. I mean, during COVID, during the first bit of COVID, the US government increased the supply of US dollars by 40%.
Wow.
Like 40%, so you take hundreds of years before that, and then 40% just like bam, like that, right? It's crazy. So what happens? What happens if you're in a market where they sell tomatoes and there's just a kilo of tomatoes and 10 people want them? The price is going to be high. And then 10 minutes later, somebody turns up with 10 trucks of tomatoes, says, I need them all sold by tonight. What happens to the price of tomatoes? They go down. Well, the same with cash. You just put lots of cash on the market, the value goes down. Yeah. So that's, now with Bitcoin, there can only ever be 21 million Bitcoins. So it's scarce in the same way that gold is scarce. We can't just make lots and lots of gold. It's really hard to find it. That's the industry I come from. We can probably increase the amount of gold by 1% a year, with all the mining that we're doing. Okay, so you could say 1% inflation, i.e. there's 1% new gold. Well, Bitcoin's less than 2%. Okay, and most of the Bitcoin has already been produced, i.e. 19 million out of the 21 million has been produced, and that remaining 2 million that needs to be mined, it's called mining in Bitcoin as well, it's going to take another 120 years.
Why?
Because there's a certain amount of Bitcoin produced every 10 minutes. That's the rewards for the people, the computers around the world. So there's 6.25 new Bitcoins produced on average, every 10 minutes.
Wow, okay.
Randomly given to one of those computers out there, which are witnessing the blockchain.
Which is an actual person behind the computer, right?
Well, there'll be somebody who owns it.
Yeah, okay.
Because somebody had to buy it. Yeah, so somebody's made an investment. And it's not the computers. They basically play a competition. You don't want to get into that here, but they play the lottery. They're trying to guess a number, and every 10 minutes, on average, somebody gets the number right. And if you get the number right, you get to write down the transaction first. I.e., let's say there's somebody in the crowd,
right,
and they're trying to guess a secret number, okay, that's in my head, and somebody guesses the right number. I can say, all right, you write it down first. Okay?
Got it.
And I'm going to give you 6.25 Bitcoins. Well done. Pat on the back. And then everybody else, they'll hold up their piece of paper and say, right, this is what happened. William sent a Bitcoin. And everybody else will look at it and say, yes, we agree. And they'll write it down as well. Okay?
But how are all these computers connected for every single transaction?
On the internet.
Okay.
On the internet. They don't all write it down instantly, but it's only, they validate. It's called, so somebody writes it down, and then everybody else validates it. And once a certain amount of computers have agreed that the right record was written down, because they all heard me say it, right? Then it becomes fact, and that's it.
So fascinating.
And they get paid to do that. That's how they get the new Bitcoins.
How do I sign up?
You need to invest in a Bitcoin mine.
Well, never mind. In another life.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about why we need it. Or let's talk about
It's a way of storing wealth. It's the first time that man has created scarcity. Gold is scarce. Land is scarce. Those are the only two scarce things in the world. I mean, and Bitcoin's now the third.
It's interesting on this point because one of the things that I've always questioned is there are so many coins and there are so many cryptocurrencies, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's just take fruit as an example.
Right.
If there's 10 bananas and people want the bananas, people are going to fight for them.
Yeah.
And now I've just brought out 10 pears and now people want to fight for them. Now I've just brought out 10 apples. If people keep bringing out different coins, surely the scarcity of them is devalued because there's so many coins. How do you know which one to buy? What's so good about Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Okay. So what's so good about Bitcoin is that Bitcoin is actually decentralized, i.e. there's literally 1 million computers around the world recording the transactions, okay? Which makes it safe, which means that the government can't turn around tomorrow and shut it down. There's nobody in charge. So it does what it says on the can, right? It is a decentralized thing that you can't really attack without spending about $1 trillion, right? I mean, literally, and it becomes increasingly hard to attack the more validators, the more computers that join the network, okay? And it's the first cryptocurrency. It's got the first mover advantage. In terms of a utility, it doesn't really have much utility. It's really just a store of wealth. A bit like gold actually doesn't have, apart from jewelry, doesn't have that much utility. Once you get to the other cryptocurrencies, they exist for different reasons, or sometimes for no reason, okay?
Right.
So if we take Dogecoin, okay, which I'm sure which everybody's heard of, and you go onto the Dogecoin website, it will say something like a friendly cryptocurrency for a community of people that love Shiba Inus, which is the dog on Dogecoin, everywhere. That's all it does. I.e., it does nothing. It does absolutely nothing. It has no purpose, no function. It's called a meme coin. It's something that Elon Musk likes to tweet about. And, maybe, I don't know. I can't imagine. Maybe one day, maybe Elon Musk will develop a utility for it. But it does nothing, okay? Right. It's very similar to Bitcoin. There's no limit, though, i.e. there's an infinite amount of Dogecoins. So that's a big difference, okay?
Right.
So that would be an example, and that's a different blockchain, okay? Bitcoin's on its own blockchain, Dogecoin's on its own blockchain. Now, if you take something like Ethereum, which is very famous, Ethereum is completely different, yet also similar. So it's mined in the same way that Bitcoin's mined, not every 10 minutes, but every 15 seconds. There's about 115 million Ethereums at the moment. But Ethereum is a blockchain that's designed to allow you to build other things on top of it. So when you see there's a list of 20,000 cryptocurrencies, literally at the moment, like several thousand, maybe 3,000 or 4,000 of those are not blockchains, okay? They are tokens. They live on top of a blockchain, okay? So it's like Ethereum is like a network. So in Bitcoin blockchain, all I can do is send Bitcoins from me to you.
Yes.
On the Ethereum blockchain, I can send ETH coins from me to you, okay? But on the Ethereum blockchain, I can also create another currency, like a Uniswap coin, and I can send Uniswap coins, and I can use the blockchain, the infrastructure of Ethereum, to send Uniswap coins from me to you.
Right.
So, and you say, okay, well, what's the point of that? Why would I do that? Well, this is where it gets into like other digital assets, okay, like NFTs, non-fungible tokens. For those who don't know what that means, so digital art, really simple example, okay. If I have a piece of digital art, what is digital art? It's a piece of code, right? It's code that's, it's all, anything on your computer is code, right? It's all virtual. It's not a physical thing, okay? So if I have a piece of digital art, I can keep that code in my crypto wallet.
Right.
Because crypto wallets keep code. Bitcoin is code. Ethereum coins code. Digital art is code. Code could be... So Ethereum and Ethereum wallets allow you to store a piece of code. So I can store a piece of art in my wallet, okay? And let's say you want to buy that piece of art. I can transfer across the Ethereum blockchain to your wallet. And you can you can pay me for it in Ethereum or maybe
I feel like you're going to have money in all these scenarios, by the way. I feel like you should give me a Bitcoin at the end of this for being mean in the examples. Okay, so I think that the significant problem and the concern that people have is that I can't see my money. I can't, if I have cash, I can see it in my hand.
What, you mean like a physical £5 note?
Physical £5 note, yeah.
When was the last time you used a physical £5 note? You got £10 with you. Okay.
But rare. I mean, you're totally right. When was the last time I used cash to pay? Never. So apart from when I go to like my undercover waxing lady, who obviously doesn't pay her cash, but it's something that people could still know. Now, what's tricky and what people have questioned me on before is I don't know that the money I have in my bank account, let's say it's 10 million I have in my bank account, is it actually there? I can't see it.
No, the bank just writes 10 and 6 zeros after it.
Right,
that's how, and you have to trust the bank.
Yes.
With a blockchain, you don't have to trust anybody. You can actually see it on the blockchain. You can look. There's windows into the blockchain.
So you can see everybody's wealth.
Everybody's plus your own. Yes.
Wow.
And not only their wealth, you can see every transaction they've ever done from a specific wallet.
So they can't lie if they're handing over their
No.
Yeah,
So
secret wife.
so for example, I like to, sometimes buy NFTs and sometimes sell NFTs. And if somebody offers me some money for an NFT, let's say they offer me $1,000, before I accept the offer, the first thing I'll do is I'll go and look in their wallet and see how much money they've got.
Wow.
So if they only have $1,000, I know there's no point in asking for 2,000. But if I see they got 100,000, well then I'm going to ask for 5,000.
And I guess
right?
they can see how much you bought your NFT for.
They can see how much I bought it for.
So you can't lie about it.
Nobody can lie about it.
Wow. So actually, this is a great tool for everyone to never lie,
Yeah.
be totally honest, and be a great person.
Yeah. Or imagine there's somebody who you respect, their investment decisions, right? You were like, I wish I could invest successfully like this person. Well, if you know their wallet address, you can see their investment strategy because it's all transparent.
Why is it so, you mentioned before about being the greatest opportunity for wealth is to invest in crypto. Why?
Yes. Well, right now, I don't think it is. No, I'm joking.
I think right now it definitely is, right?
No, it's good. Yeah. So yeah, that comes with quite a lot of health warnings. But ultimately, this new technology is massive. Okay. Now, just like in the .com boom, right, in the late 90s, every company decided to call themselves .com this, .com that, pets.com, and it created a massive bubble and it burst. Okay. So you would say, okay, well, that was a disaster. Okay. But out of that came Google's, Amazon's, the biggest companies of our time came out of that, and that's going to be basically the same with crypto. Okay. So of these 20,000 projects out there, I don't know, maybe 19,800 of them are just crap. Really? Like they're really not, but there are some gems in there. And there's projects that don't exist yet. So if you can educate yourself and work out what are the gems and really understand why they're gems, then I think there's huge potential. And because 99% of the people invest in crypto don't know the difference between the gems and the good ones, what happens is when we have a time like now where everything crashes, the good ones crash just as hard as the bad ones. The only difference is the good ones, when the markets recover, they will go back up again, and the bad ones will probably just disappear into the history books. Okay, so it's about knowing and understanding what are good projects, and you can never be 100% right. But if you pick, 6 or 7, projects that you believe and you've done your research on, and chances are you're going to do pretty well.
I usually leave truth or dare till the end, but I want to ask you now.
What's my favorite project?
Tell us the gems, and the dare will be tell us the gems. How do you define what a gem of a project is?
Well, the most important thing is that you actually look and see whether it's got a reason to exist. That's the first thing. Like I remember in 2000.
But why? Like, what's your purpose?
Yeah, what's the purpose? I mean, I remember in 2018 looking at a project. I think it was called something like Jet Engine Coin. And it was a company that made jet engines, and they just said, yeah, we got a coin for the community. And it's like, okay, do I get a free jet engine if I buy these coins? Or do I get to ride in a plane with a jet engine? Like, and they're like, no, it's just jet engine coin. And you're like, yeah, but what does it do? It's just jet engine. I mean, it's just like, it's literally people just selling pieces of code for nothing that have no utility. Okay. And that represents a huge amount of the projects, the vast majority of projects. The coins don't do anything, okay? Or essentially, but if you were to look at some projects where they, like Ethereum, okay, is a good example. Ethereum does something. It's a network upon which people can build games. They can build decentralized finance applications. They can trade NFTs. They can store wealth. They can store their medical records. They can store everything, okay? So if you take an iPhone, okay, think of an iPhone like the Ethereum blockchain. If I take your phone and I delete all the apps off it, phone app, every single app, how useful is it?
It's not useful at all.
It's not useful at all because essentially it's a piece of infrastructure. It's only useful when stuff is built on it, okay? Ethereum is a network. It's called an infrastructure blockchain, okay? There are Ethereum, and Ethereum has its competitors, okay? Now, Ethereum is actually quite slow and quite expensive to use, but it's still the number one. Okay, and there are lots of good things about it as well. And there are thousands of apps, just like there are thousands of apps in the App Store that are built on Ethereum. Okay, so it has utility. And if you want to use any of those apps, play any of those games, you have to pay to use the network, and you have to pay in Ethereum coins. So Ethereum coins have a reason to exist. I never have any Ethereum coins because I'm always using the Ethereum network, and I'm always having to buy them to spend it on transaction fees.
So how?
So that's a real reason to exist. Okay.
Wow, I understand.
Do you see? Whereas jet engine coin is no reason. Okay. So take Ethereum and then say, okay, well, it's congested, it's expensive, and it's quite slow. So which infrastructure blockchains are not congested? Which ones are super fast? You know, which ones have nice decentralization, i.e. they're not going to get shut down because there's enough computers around the world validating them. So great infrastructure blockchains it is a place to look for investment. Okay. And those are the kind of big projects. Yeah.
Okay.
And then just avoid things like Dogecoin. But you might regret that because it will probably go up 10,000% when Elon Musk makes a tweet.
So I want to talk about the process now because I think a lot of people are like, okay, what do I do? Okay. So I download Coinbase.
Yes.
Why should I trust Coinbase?
Okay. So Coinbase is like a bank. It's just like a crypto bank.
Yes.
Okay. So I would argue that for somebody who is not that experienced in looking after their own crypto, it's a responsibility to look after your own stuff. Being your own bank comes with the responsibility of a bank, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So Coinbase is like, don't be your own bank. We'll be the bank for you.
Right.
Okay. Now, by doing this, you are entrusting your cryptocurrency to Coinbase.
Oh,
Okay.
God, I'm panicking now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like you would entrust your pounds
With the bank.
to a bank.
Yes.
Okay. It's exactly the same thing. So most cryptocurrency is kept. The most retail users keep their coins on exchanges. And then you've got to look at, okay, well, there's Coinbase, there's Binance, there's KuCoin, there's lots of different exchanges. Now, you run the risk of these exchanges getting hacked. Maybe a rogue agent inside the exchange basically just takes the money, right? And that's happened. You know, it happened in South Africa and it happened in Turkey, I think. Turkey, these two guys ran away with $2 billion worth of people's money.
Straight after this podcast, you need to show me how to take it off there.
Yeah.
I'm panicking. I'm literally just like,
Don't
God.
worry. But Coinbase, American company, it's massive listed, regulated company. So if you're going to keep it anyway, Coinbase is safe, very expensive to use. Use Coinbase Pro if you're going to use Coinbase.
Pro, yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
That's not so expensive to use. Binance is great. There's good exchanges out there. Just use a big one, like a big reliable one. Do not keep stuff on small exchanges. That would be my thing.
And can you just tell me some of the small exchanges so people can know about them?
What, you want me to name and shame?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Okay. Can you recommend ones that people should use?
I'll tell you what you can do. So on our website, my website, or our website, my partners, it's called encryptohub.com. Okay? And this is the company that delivers the boot camps.
Right.
Now, on the website, there is a button that says dashboard. And if you go to dashboard and then go down to the bottom left, there is something that says CEX, sex. And you click on all, and it will open up a list of the major exchanges.
Okay.
And there will be a ranking for all of them with essentially a colored dot saying, and a green dot is good.
Okay.
Or better.
Right.
Okay. So you can go on there and see which ones.
Okay, great. Good. Okay, so let's say, for example, there's two options here. Here you first hold your own coin in your own bank.
Yeah.
The second, which I think people will typically do, is use one of these exchanges.
Yes.
So you buy your Bitcoin for, let's say right now, however much it is, don't even want to look. Let's just say it's £20,000.
Approximately
Yeah?
$20,000, yeah.
$20,000. You have your coin on the exchange. What can I do with Bitcoin?
Bitcoin, unlike Ethereum, has no utility. Okay, so remember Ethereum's like the iPhone.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Bitcoin has no utility at all. Bitcoin's advantage is its simplicity. It does nothing. It's the equivalent. It's the digital equivalent of gold. It's what everybody has decided in the digital world is the standard currency.
Right.
Okay, so it's where you can store wealth. Okay, in Bitcoin, just like storing gold in your safe. Okay, it's a hedge against inflation. And for in this country, okay, we've got rule of law. As much as we like to complain about the banks, they do look after our money quite well. And we've got all these things. So if you make £100,000 tomorrow, you've got somewhere where you can keep it. You might invest in property, and that's not going to be confiscated. You might buy a gold bar and you can put it in a safe, and you're pretty sure that's safe.
Yes.
Or you can put it in the bank and deal with inflation, but essentially you're relatively confident. Okay, but imagine you're in another country, like most of the world. Okay, imagine you're in, well, I don't want to name a country, but let's say a country that doesn't have rule of law. You can all think of, you all can think of a country, yeah? And you have a business, I don't know, maybe you have a taxi business and you make $100,000 equivalent, okay, in that country. Where are you going to put that? How are you going to store that wealth so that you're, in 20 years' time, that wealth has grown? You're going to put it in a local bank? Oh. You're going to put it in local bank in local currency? Well, you think we got an inflation problem?
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they got like 10,000% inflation, like a Zimbabwe situation, right? So you can't do that, okay? And you put it in US dollars, the bank might never give it back to you, okay? So you're going to put it in gold bars and put it under your bed? Is the place where you live secure? Who's going to secure it? If somebody knows you got a gold bar under your bed, maybe people will turn up with Kalashnikovs and take it, right? Are you going to buy land? How do you know there's not going to be a coup and the government's not going to just confiscate everybody's land? So how do you store wealth?
Right.
Okay, this is where Bitcoin is super valuable for most of the world who have trouble storing their wealth and who are not allowed access to the investment funds, essentially, of the Western world because of KYC and all the bloody regulations. Bitcoin, they can open a wallet, they can have the wallet, the password's in their head, they can have access to it through their phone, and they can store as much wealth as they want. And they never have to tell anybody about it, and nobody can confiscate it because it can't be hacked. The only way that Bitcoin can be taken is you have to give it to somebody. Now, they might torture you and you might give it. That's a different scenario. But essentially, it's yours. Okay?
That could happen. If I could see that's an interesting point. If I knew I was a bad person, which is how you've portrayed me in all the examples, so let me just stick to it, okay?
Sorry,
I'm
it was
the
all
fraud.
fiction.
I'm the fraud. Let's just say I'm a bad person. Look, we look at people now who steal from people's houses, who live in a big house, and they go and steal things. It's a very common thing also when Indians get married, that a lot of them are burgled because they know that during Indian weddings, some people give a lot of gold.
Yeah.
If I know and I can see all the wealthiest people in the world that have 1 million Bitcoin, 1 billion, whatever, I can see exactly how they're transacting. I can see exactly how much money they have. Why can't it doesn't allow an opportunity for people to go out and attack them?
It does.
It makes them vulnerable.
It does make them vulnerable.
If all of your wealth is on one platform.
Yeah, it does. So if you've got it like on Coinbase, you can lock it. So it's got like a 3-day release thing. And, there's all kinds of security things built in.
Right.
But if you have it on a wallet, on a physical, you've got the passwords in your head. Yeah, somebody could come and torture you. And if you're somebody like, for example, myself, who people, obviously assume that I have some cryptocurrency because I'm in the space and I'm public about it.
Yes.
Like I can't keep it on my own wallet.
Yes, exactly.
Because that would just be stupid, right?
Yes,
It's
exactly.
like I'd be walking around with a big red sign flashing on my head.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I actually have to pay a third-party custody person.
Got it.
Who literally, even if someone tortures me, they won't release it because I can't. My authority's not enough to release it. Do you see what I mean?
No one.
So I would recommend if you, don't even bother coming to talk to me. Okay. So it's but if I wasn't in the crypto space, I wouldn't. Yeah, if you've got cryptocurrency, the best thing is not to tell people, which is hard because when it's going up, 1,000%, obviously you want to go around boasting and telling everybody how clever you are.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you can keep it quiet,
but how
that's
can you
generally a
find
good
people's
idea.
wallet numbers.
You can find people's wallet numbers.
Actually, I don't know why I'm asking all these questions. I feel I'm exposing everything. Like, tell us how you can do this. Tell us how you can do that.
Well, if you send somebody some money, that's one way. That you can find out their wallet number. Also, if you know that they own something specific, let's say you knew that they owned a one-of-one NFT, you just find that NFT. You just search it and you see which wallet it's in, and now you can know how to find them.
A lot of people are now taking Bitcoin quite seriously, I would say, and what I mean by that is they're taking it as a form of currency. They are treating it like the pound and the dollar, the yen. In the future, how do you think that will impact us? So, do you think that cash, like the pound, the dollar, the yen, will be inexistent?
Yeah, countries will always have their own currencies. Mm-hmm. That will never stop because governments are in charge. Mm-hmm. Governments need the ability to print money or do whatever they want to do with the currency, right, to control the economy. So yes, I think that will exist. I don't think of Bitcoin as a currency to take on the pound or the dollar. Mm-hmm. I think that'd be very dangerous because that's going to put the country's backs up, the government's backs up. Think of it like digital gold. It's just a digital asset. Okay, just like any other investment asset.
It's just an investment, and some people will take that investment. So I know some in Dubai, you can buy a property with Bitcoin,
Yes,
and I know
but just like you can buy a property with gold as well.
exactly. And I think you can think of it as if you sell that and then you use the money to buy something, then it's the same as any other investment, right? But with
Yes.
Bitcoin, you can actually use it to pay.
You can use it to pay, but you can also pay with gold now.
Can you actually?
Yeah, there's there's an amazing company called Glint,
Right.
which basically you keep gold in a safe, and the value of gold, let's say you got £100, it shows on your essentially Glint card you've got £100 worth of credit,
Wow.
and if you pay £1 for a coffee or £2 for a coffee,
£4
it's
now.
£4 for
Yeah.
a coffee.
Don't know where you live, or it's £2 for a coffee. Gosh.
So yeah, it will basically just at that exact moment it will just remove £4 of physical gold. Obviously, it'd be done later in the day, but it will remove it from your safe. That's it.
That's so interesting.
So increasingly, there are, and you can do it with platinum. I think now, I'm not sure on Glint, but you can do it with platinum. But yeah, I mean, so this is great for great ways of people to store their money.
I want to talk about NFTs
Yes.
quickly, because I know we've been talking for an hour now about crypto.
Okay.
But I do want to talk about NFTs because I think there is a lot of confusion around what they are. And with Bitcoin or with any crypto that you've just said, it's an investment. But with NFTs, people see it differently. So tell me, what are NFTs?
Okay, well, they stand for non-fungible tokens. Okay, so let's just attack what the word fungible means, because maybe most people don't know what that is. Fungible things are things that are interchangeable. So if you have a £10 note and I have a £10 note and we swap, I've still got £10 and you still got £10. Nothing's really changed, okay? Whereas if I was to give you my house and you were to give me your house, there's been a material difference in where we
Yes.
live, okay?
Yes.
They're not the same,
No.
okay? And they can never be the same, okay? Even if they look exactly the same, they're still going to be on a different plot of land, okay? So they're not fungible. A piece of art, a Monet and a Rembrandt, if we swap them, they're different, okay? Even two different Rembrandts, they're different.
Right.
Those are non-fungible things, okay? Things that are fungible are like currencies, like pounds. Bitcoin is fungible. One Bitcoin is the same as another Bitcoin. Gold is fungible. One bar of gold, if it's pure, is the same as another bar of gold, okay? NFTs are just unique things, okay? So pieces of art or houses is a really good way to think of two things that are unique. So with cryptocurrencies, you've got fungible cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, and then you've got non-fungible. Remember, it's all just pieces of code, yeah?
Right.
You've got non-fungible things, which are like digital pieces of art, okay?
Right.
Or certificates or something like that.
Okay.
And what it allows you to do is it allows you to create an original copy of something digital,
Okay.
which is kind of a hard concept to get your head around, but I'm going to try and get your head around it quickly.
Okay.
Okay, but because you'd say, well, if you've got a piece of digital art, I'm just going to right-click, copy, paste,
Right.
and I've got it too.
I'm just going to screenshot it.
And I could say, okay, well, I own the Mona Lisa, and you say, well, I'm going to get the best forger in the world, and he's going to make an exact copy, like in a perfect replica. Maybe I'll get like the new super robot that's going to make a perfect replica. That means I got a Mona Lisa too. Does it mean you have a Mona Lisa? No, I've still got the original.
Right.
I can prove it because I've got the provenance because I own the Louvre, let's say. Okay? So imagine that, but a digital version of that. NFTs allow you to prove that you have the original copy. Now, if that is something that can generate money, like a piece of art can go in a gallery and
Yes.
whatever, it can generate money, then that's important. Okay? And so it basically now everything we do in life is pretty much digital, like increasingly. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? Forms and certificates and stuff like that. But how do you prove something's original? Okay, so I'll just give you an example of like where this would be useful in life, and this will hopefully get your head around it. So take somebody working in a job nowadays, okay, just a regular job. Increasingly, it's hard to get a reference
Yes.
for a job, okay? If you go, let's say you work at Starbucks, and you quit your job at Starbucks and you want to go work at Costa Coffee, ideally what you'd like is your manager at Starbucks to just say, William was awesome. Like literally best employee ever. But they're probably not going to do that because they don't want the liability. They'll just say William started in September 5th and finished in December 12th.
Yeah.
And that was it. Yeah? Now, Costa Coffee has no idea whether I'm a good employee or a bad employee, firstly. And no matter how much I tell them I was good, they don't know. Okay? And Starbucks is not going to give that reference. Okay? So this is where you get a use case for NFTs. Now, let's say if I worked at Starbucks and I did something good, I was a really good employee, I was actually employee of the month, Now, at the moment, if you're employee of the month at one of these sort of companies, you'll get a little picture, silly picture in a picture frame, and you'll be there looking silly. And then a month later, that will get thrown in the trash, and then whatever Mandy's picture will be in the picture frame or whatever. Okay, that's all that's going to happen, and that moment of glory gets lost in history forever. Now, instead of that, if Starbucks gave me an NFT, okay, remember NFTs are timestamped, so you can't go back in history and change the date. Okay, they've got your name on it, and Starbucks could have its own official code for its NFTs, i.e., so it's instantaneously provable that it's a real one, it's a legitimate one. Okay. And let's say I'm employee of the month 3 times. Now I come to Costa Coffee and I can open my digital portfolio and I can say, I don't have a reference saying anything, but I was employee of the month 3 times. Now Costa Coffee do not have to call up Starbucks and check that they're real. Right. They can just go on the blockchain instantaneously. Literally instantaneously, they'll know that it's real.
Whilst if I took a photo or if I uploaded a paper copy, I could have faked it.
You could have faked it. And whereas an NFT, it's real. So you get people who pretend that they've studied at Stanford and they go around with a certificate of their degree. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And this happens all the time, literally all the time. And small companies, they don't have the resources all the time. They quite often just go on trust to check. But now that whole thing, forget about it. That's done. Fake certificates, finish. It's history because of NFTs.
That's amazing.
Can you imagine how much time and money that will change?
Because people lie on their CVs all the time.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So there you go.
I feel like this is all making us become better people, isn't it? It's all about changing humanity and everyone being honest. And
I'm sure we'll find a way to abuse it.
Gosh, I wish conversations could be on the blockchain. That would be great, wouldn't it? You said that and it's recorded. So I've got it timestamped.
There is a fantastic project called Arweave.
Okay.
Which stores data. You pay $7 for a gigabyte of data and you can store it forever. And it can never be changed. And it's being used increasingly. Which means that, you can't then go and sort of deny, deny the Holocaust happened or something silly like that, which people try and do.
Which people are doing.
Yeah. So all that's going to be history because all of these records will be kept in originals.
This will be an absolute nightmare if married couples just start doing that.
Yeah. Too much
Can
transparency.
you imagine if everything was recorded between a couple and then you just had to look at the blockchain to decide who said what? God, it'd be chaos. It'd be chaos.
You officially acted like a dick on this day.
Yeah.
I've got it recorded. It never goes away. And it's transparent. Everybody in the world knows about it.
Oh, God. Okay, yeah, maybe we don't. Maybe I should come up with something like that. That would be great. I'm going to do that. Here we go.
You've got a new cryptocurrency. It's
told you I was going to have $1 million. Told you I have 10 million in my account, didn't I? Okay, so we talked about crypto. We talked about NFTs. I really think there's so much more we could touch on in this space.
It's a big topic.
It's a huge topic, and I think a lot of people are very nervous around it because it's unknown. And like anything, we don't like to change. We don't like to do things that we don't have certainty over. Yep. But like any investment, you can't guarantee it's going to go up. I can't guarantee it's going to go up. It is a risk. But I think, like you said, and you mentioned in the beginning, the reason why people are so concerned around it is because all we hear in the news is Bitcoin's going to be the next best thing. Oh, then it's going to crash. Bitcoin's going to change everything.
Surge
now it's crashed.
Those are the two words you see.
Bitcoin has so much value. It's worth nothing. That's all we see on the internet, and that's all we read about. That's all we hear. Yeah. And I think we need to do a part 2 on this, if I'm completely honest. I thought
you need to look past all of that and really understand about what the technology is. Once you have your little epiphany of so the certificates for you, I feel like that was a little bit of an eye opener. You're like, oh shit, NFTs are not just pictures of monkeys, right? Which is essentially what everybody sees. And the utility of NFTs is insane. I could talk for hours on NFTs. It is way more exciting than cryptocurrency.
Oh, 100%. I've actually researched NFTs a bit more, so I understand it in a bit more detail. And I've also just seen what the potential is for brands, for restaurants, for clubs, all of these industries. Everything will change. Yeah. And if we don't get on board with it now, we will fall behind. And like you said, it's with the internet. This space is growing more than ever. And you either learn to understand about it or you learn to be blind about it. And the uncomfortableness comes from not being educated. Exactly. So I'm really grateful for you coming on. I'm really grateful for you sharing your experiences. But we do finish with a truth or dare.
Go for it.
Which would you prefer?
Is it going to make me blush?
Maybe. No, it's not.
Truth.
Tell me the most underrated cryptocurrency right now.
The most underrated. Well, I mean, they're all quite underrated because they're all cheap right now. I think probably my favorite project would be Helium.
Okay.
Why? It's the trying to think how to explain it quickly. The Internet of Things, which is essentially everything being on the internet, everything like, a tracker on your dog, even something very like a thing on a skip outside your house to say it's full. So all of this has been very difficult to put these trackers on because it's expensive using the mobile phone network.
Right.
Helium have created their own blockchain and now over 800,000 people around the world have bought little boxes that go in their house, which allow a new network of data that's outside the mobile phone network of data.
Wow.
Using radio waves so that these sensors can operate at 100th of the cost that they can on the mobile phone network. It's the fastest growing network in the world. And now they're building 5G boxes. So they're going to disrupt the 5G system as well. And this is now spreading across America. So all the big mobile phone companies, as I understand it, I mean, Dish is an example. That's a big 5G provider in the US. They're entering into partnership with Helium because basically Helium doesn't have to spend billions of dollars putting up 5G masts. It's got an army of super ants, i.e. people out there prepared to pay themselves to put one of these in their homes.
Wow.
And so, and it's an extraordinary thing because it's not like a company. You can just buy it. You can't buy the property of 800,000 people. Yeah. It's like a decentralized mobile phone network, or Internet of Things network. And it's, the value of the entire project is something like $500 million at the moment. And I would argue that something like that is worth
way more.
It will be worth $100 billion. So if I was to say my favorite one, it would be Helium.
Well, I'm going to buy it first because I have access to this podcast and I'm joking. Okay, well, thank you so much. And like I said, I think there's a real bigger piece around this that we haven't spoken around about the metaverse and Web3. And there's so much.
Yeah.
We could be here for hours, but I am really, really grateful for you coming on here.
Well, thanks a lot for having me on.
My pleasure.
Hey everyone, and thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Wherever you're listening or watching, if you could press the like, follow, and subscribe button, it would mean the world to me.